Just one thing first. Joe Biden called it a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Andrew Neil, formerly of this parish, spoke of punishing the unvaccinated. Jeremy Vine spoke figuratively of holding people down and forcibly jabbing them. Oddly, the smiling fascist Justin Trudeau of Canada called the unvaccinated racist. Quite a leap, that one, and a bit rich from a man famous for blackface. But as a spokesperson from Pfizer admitted in the Dutch Parliament this week, the vaccine was never tested for transmission. In other words, stopping you giving COVID to others. So what the authorities told us about stopping the spread with a jab was a total lie. Take it to protect Granny, a historic falsehood. Whilst safe for most, though we can't be sure, we don't have long-term data, large numbers of people around the world have suffered severe side effects, and some, including former BBC presenter Lisa Shaw, have died. Lisa, a healthy woman in her 40s, here pictured with her husband Gareth. She statistically did not need the jab, but based upon the idea that somehow she was helping others, she took one for the team. She's gone now. Her husband, a widower, her young son without his mummy. The conspiracy theorists, the Tin Hat Brigade, the so-called anti-vaxxers, who were no such thing but simply wanted personal choice, were right all along. For the record, I'm triple jabbed. But did I need it? You tell me. We will never forget the politicians, the corporations, and the high-profile celebrities and TV doctors who needlessly coerced us into having the vaccine. They've got blood on their hands. Never forgive, never forget, and never again.
Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this.
If someone had said to you in December that by April, millions of people all over the world would be infected with a mysterious new virus that has no vaccine, you'd think they were talking about a Hollywood script. It's happened so fast, it almost doesn't seem real.
Coronavirus pandemic.
Coronavirus pandemic.
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
The COVID-19 virus.
This horrible, invisible enemy.
The virus of the virus.
COVID-19.
The coronavirus.
COVID-19.
The apocalypse. Well, most of us have never lived through anything like this.
No one is immune. It threatens all of us.
If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes.
Important to have the hospital death rate and the total death rate. It's worth remembering again that the ONS rates are people who've got COVID on their death certificate. It doesn't necessarily mean they were infected because many of them haven't been tested, so we just need to understand the difference.
What the hell did you just say?
Doesn't necessarily mean they were infected because many of them haven't been tested. So many of them haven't been tested. So.
Clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
There are other countries that if you had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem, some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in and a form that has the ability to mark it as COVID-19 infection, the intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level up. Oh, this song is so yummy.
Going to a different place, which is a new normal. A new normal.
A new normal.
A new normal.
A dinner where your temperature is checked before you walk in.
A new normal. New normal.
Embrace the new normals of social distancing and sheltering in place, all the physical isolation.
The new normal.
The new normal?
When we get out of the new normal and get to a new normal.
The new normal? This is the new normal.
Don't get the vaccine, you can't go to the supermarket. Don't have the vaccine, you don't show it, can't go to the ball game. Don't have the vaccine, can't go to work. You don't have the vaccine, can't come here. No shirt, no shoes, no service. That's where I think we should be right now.
We have to stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot. We start by calling them what they are. They are all snowflakes and cowards and idiots and losers.
You either have the jab or you don't go to work. I think when this was all happening, the pandemic, I took quite firm views throughout it, like a lot of people, I guess. One of which was when it was believed, when the vaccines first came along, that they would stop transmission. It seemed to me if you refuse to be vaccinated, you shouldn't be entitled to the same rights to go to nightclubs and stuff as those who'd taken the vaccine and were therefore not able to transmit it. However, when it was established that vaccines actually didn't stop transmission, they just stopped a lot of people getting very sick and dying, the argument to then suppress any liberties or freedoms of the unvaccinated, to me, it went away.
Under 30, I'm not really at risk. It's okay. My body, my choice. This philosophical junk, and it needs to be stopped.
People have got to understand vaccination is going to be, in the end, your route to liberty.
Frankly, if you're not vaccinated at the moment and you're eligible and you've got no health reason for not being vaccinated, you're not just irresponsible. I mean, you're an idiot.
Most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Those who haven't had jabs but could have jabs need to have a badge saying unjabbed.
Really?
Yeah.
Emmanuel Macron said his government's vaccination strategy was to piss off the unvaccinated by continuing to make daily life more difficult. In an interview with the French newspaper Le Parisien, he is quoted to have said, "I'm not about pissing off the French people, but as for the non-vaccinated, I really want to piss them off. And we will continue to do this to the end. This is the strategy."
I swear to God, I swear you put me. Stop this, go on, I swear. I will kill the fucking lot of you. Man, you go away from me. You can live your winner off this dog. You're under arrest, mate. Go on, let's go. I said, I'm sorry. I'm not going down again. Okay, I'm relaxed.
The gathering of one or two people, especially Philippe, not going to leave them.
I was on my own walking up. You guys stopped us. Just make sure you keep.
Already you, actually, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. To give your details to fishing clients and you refused, and now you've been arrested to issue family details. You cannot give your details.
Going for my hourly daily walk and I'm being arrested. I'm being arrested for my daily walk, for walking down the street. For walking down the street. New normal. New normal. New normal.
Our new normal.
A new normal.
Our new normal.
New normal.
The new normal.
Our new normal.
this new normal?
I think everyone's life is completely disrupted. You know, your normal pattern of go to meetings, watch sports events, and no normalcy as we knew it.
Out for now, exercise.
Continue your journey, then, sir, please.
No, I'm on my exercise leave. You have to tell me where I can go and where I can't go, anything. You know, I'm just thinking, did you walk in past?
I'm just going to see. Can you just stop there, though, while I'm talking to you? Okay. You need to go home now, okay? I have reason to believe that you're part of a gathering, which is more than 2 people, and contravening the coronavirus legislation. No, I believe you contravening this legislation, okay? Subsequently, I'm going to give you a warning. It's a verbal warning. You need to go home. I'll go to your place of residence now. Do you understand?
Where do you live, sir?
Where do you live?
Why do I have to give you that information?
Because we suspect you of committing an offence.
What is the offence? I'm exercising. I've just walked past you. What makes me any different to any of these?
Well, we're going to get to them in a minute.
I'm walking. I'd like to continue walking in the direction that I was going.
I'm going to ask you to continue.
I will continue my direction and go home. Yeah.
If I encounter you again, sir, I'm not done talking to you. Okay? If I encounter you again, okay, in this trip, you'll get a ticket straight away.
The legislation, is that been passed? Is it law?
Yeah, it is law.
It is law.
Yeah, it's gone through that building behind me.
Schedule 21, Part 4 of the Coronavirus Act 2020, so it contravenes such things as a requirement to not participate in a gathering in a public place or constitute a gathering. If it's more than 2 people, so you shouldn't be out and about, you should be going home. Yeah? Contravening a requirement from a relevant person. I'm a relevant person, I'm a police officer. I'm requiring you to go to your home address now. Do you understand?
She's feeding my son because I'm finding it very distressful that you're not even moving away still. You're not even trying to defuse the scenario. We're going to arrest me for shouting regarding my son being fed. What are you going to do then? Fortunately, it didn't work. I was walking along here with my partner and we saw the signs and we were just interested in talking to these guys. We're not part of any gathering. And I apologise for raising my voice. I found that very offensive and I apologise for getting annoyed about that.
New normal. Our new normal.
New normal. The new normal.
Our new normal.
New normal. Until a vaccine is developed.
A vaccine.
Vaccine.
A vaccine.
The vaccine for this terrible virus.
An amazing vaccine to the entire world.
The world awaits a vaccine.
The vaccine.
The vaccines.
The thing that'll get us back is the vaccine.
Until we have a vaccine.
Zero tolerance. So every time we see a case, we basically pounce on it.
A vaccine.
A vaccine. A vaccine. A vaccine.
To all 7 billion people.
Almost every expert agrees a vaccine is the fastest way to get our world back.
You know, it's so important to get not just hundreds of millions, but literally billions of those vaccines.
Legislative amendments that would make vaccinations mandatory for public school students unless they have a medical exemption.
The vaccine is the thing that will change things.
It's a vaccine.
It's a vaccine. A vaccination.
A COVID-19 vaccine.
A vaccine. Vaccine.
Vaccine. The vaccine is critical. Very broad vaccination.
Vaccine.
A vaccine.
The vaccine.
On the issue of the vaccine, which you've said in the past could take a year to 18 months, will we have to wait for a vaccine to hug our family and friends who are outside of our bubble?
A vaccine.
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 Who's a recovered person? Who's a vaccinated person? Because you don't want people moving around the world.
So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that will help facilitate the global reopening up.
Zero tolerance.
The RFID microchip.
Apple and Google announced new technology that could help phones ping other phones around them with their location.
In Hangzhou, to enter a tower block, you need to have your temperature taken and registered. And you must have an app on your phone into which you input your name, temperature, recent travel and ID number. The information generates a color code.
Our new normal.
A new normal.
Our new normal.
New normal. The new normal.
Our new normal.
When you were talking about the phases, the semi-normal phase that you spoke of, that sounded like months and months of that. If a vaccine is still not until 2021, that's many, many months of this new normal.
That's right, a new normal.
New normal.
A new normal.
The new normal.
A new normal.
This is the new normal.
This is our new normal.
An invisible enemy. Think of that.
Thank you. I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
What kind of shit is that?
We are back now with Bill Gates, whose foundation has already committed more than $250 million to fighting COVID-19.
And then the final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine. So we've got to go full speed ahead on all three fronts. Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control, sadly.
And then the final solution.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists.
Maybe
we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution. Okay?
Yeah. The return to normal solution.
Exactly.
It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be
time to recover. It's going to be time to recover.
Her breathing is quite fast, and that's, to me, that is a cause for concern.
Well, like I say, we've not had any concerns with the
Well, I know, but you never do have concerns for her. With respect, you don't. I understand you're doing your best, but I can see that my mother is not well just by looking at her through the window.
Well, all I can suggest is that you ring up on Monday morning.
Well, what do you mean I ring up on Monday morning? That's 2 whole days away.
Well, like I say, I'm not the manager. So
you're not the manager, but I mean, hang on a minute, just a minute before you go. I am asking you. I want this doctor. Hang on a minute. Don't take her away. Hey, don't take her away. Don't take her away. Don't take her away. You.
Hi. Yep. It's okay. Hey, I love you. I wish. She still got that ankle monitor on? Damn prison. I know, Mama. Sickening. I love you.
Remember, we shut schools because we were scared that kids would come home and infect older people who then die. Well, this paper in the BMG found no evidence, quotes, no evidence of an increased risk of severe COVID-19 outcomes. We shut down society, we shut down schools, just in case, doing extraordinary harm to the lives of people, especially young people.
Yeah. You're quite emotional about that.
Well, it's just, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and there's William Shakespeare putting it so simply for everybody that, we can get on with our lives. And
Mr. Hancock, you've introduced a law by which a perfectly healthy individual could be incarcerated for 10 years for wrongly misleading about the fact he or she had been to Portugal. Perfectly healthy individual locked up for 10 years. What is your legal background on that?
Well,
I understood you were an economist. I didn't know you had a background in law.
The position I find myself is that I think it is incredibly important that we protect our borders in order to keep people safe. And given all the progress that we're making, we've got to protect that progress. And that's the approach that I'm taking. I make no apologies for it. I think it is very important.
I'm not asking you to apologise. I'm just asking you to justify why it's the same stretch as if I was carrying a firearm, and it's longer if I attempt to have sex with a 13-year-old girl for coming in from Portugal. What makes you think that's the right stretch?
But wherever you are, we love you from the bottom of our hearts, and we know you love us.
And we want to see you again. COVID-19 has kept us apart for way too long.
We want to hug you. We want to celebrate with you. We want to worship with you. We want to play video games with you, preferably in the same room, so that we can see the look on your face when we beat you.
But in order to do all that, we all need to take the COVID-19 jab. So all of us in this together.
Things will slowly get back to normal. Well, what they're calling the new normal. But in reality, the new normal will mean needing a vaccine for doing the kinds of things we used to take for granted.
Because we love you, we want you to be safe. We don't want you to be left out or left behind.
Don't let your concerns be the thing that widens racial inequality in our society.
Don't let coronavirus cost even more Black lives. Because we matter.
And I want to speak directly to all those who have yet to get fully vaccinated. The people who think the disease can't hurt them. Look at the people going into hospital now. That could be you. Look at the intensive care units and the miserable, needless suffering of those who did not get their booster. That could be you.
As we said last week, we do reserve the right to mandate certification at any point if it's necessary to reduce transmission. And I should serve notice now that by the end of September, when all over 18s will have had their chance to be double jabbed, we're planning to make full vaccination the condition of entry to nightclubs and other venues where large crowds gather. Proof of a negative test will no longer be enough.
One of the big pluses for me is that with vaccine passports, and again, I do share some of Beverly's concerns about sort of state control and all of that, but with vaccine passports, we can potentially get rid of all the social distancing, all the stuff that we've had in the past. That's the way forward for me. I think that would benefit the hospitality industry far more than just opening the doors, but introducing all the restrictions we've had in the past. It just doesn't work. There is no such thing. Herd immunity without vaccination is the strongest survive. You are literally saying, let weak people die. That is what you are saying. There is no herd immunity without vaccination.
We're going to move to a situation where, to protect the health system, we're going to lock out people who are not vaccinated and can be. If you're making the choice not to get vaccinated, then you're making the wrong choice. You're making the wrong choice. And for safety's sake, and for back to that point about how much work our nurses have to do, as this becomes absolutely a pandemic of the unvaccinated and we open everything up, it's not going to be safe for people who are not vaccinated to be roaming around the place spreading the virus. That's what they'll be doing.
If you're willing to walk among us unvaccinated, you are an enemy.
We've tried the education, we've tried the carrot, we now move to the stick. If it takes time now, the time to find people, great. Let's start. Let's never go with €100, make it £100, right? And it starts, and I tell you what, it's not 60, but let's make it 40 and above, starting on Monday, okay? Now, if we come round, knock on the door, and you can show on your phone, or you've got a letter or something, you've got an appointment, that's fine. But if you willfully oppose now, you're 40 and above, £100 fine in December, £100 fine in January, £200 in February, £300 in March. By the end of the year, you'll be spending about £1,000, and that might cut through your ignorance.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? F them, f their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
If you decide that you don't want a vaccine or a booster, then you can decide not to go to hospital however ill you get. And that Wait, that is your right.
So you would
If you
leave
want to
the unjabbed at home to die if they had a heart attack, if they suffered from a stroke?
We just have to make people understand that, you know, no jab, no life. And that's how it is.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
Go to a restaurant, you're going to have your temperature taken before you're allowed inside to dine. So that's just the new normal. New normal. This new normal is going to look very, very different.
Not normal, but a new normal.
Long lines for food becoming a new normal.
The new normal.
New normal. There will be a new normal.
A new normal.
New normal. A new normal.
The new norm.
A new normal.
This is the new normal.
This is our new normal.
Our new normal.
A new normal.
Our new normal.
New normal.
We will transition into the new normal.
And this new normal is just the normal of future generations.
All of us should be able to name all the people we've been in close contact with over the last 2 weeks as a new normal.
Our new normal.
The new normal.
Our new normal. Our lives will never be the same.
Stay local and do not congregate. Don't talk to your neighbours. Please keep to your bubbles. We know from overseas cases of the Delta variant that it can be spread by people simply walking past one another. So keep those movements outside to the bare minimum, wear a mask, and make sure you keep up that physical distancing.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's complete nonsense to claim that vaccine passports mean that you're being forced to get the vaccine. Everyone has a choice. We have choices in all parts of our lives every day, but choices have consequences. And if you're not willing to take the step that is scientifically proven to make yourself safer and those around you safer by getting your free 2 doses of the vaccine, then you are making a choice that has a consequence that you can't do some other things. And I think it's fair enough that the government has said they'll wait till September, because that's when everyone aged 18 and over will have had the chance of their second dose. So people that refuse to get that, for me, those people are selfish, they're dangerous, and I dare say they're a bit stupid, because I can't understand why you would turn down your vaccine, and I don't think that they should be able to lead their lives as normal when they're putting other people at risk.
It's my privilege to have been asked to conduct our service today to celebrate the life of Alan Wright. I therefore offer you all a very warm welcome as we unite in love and friendship to
Vaccine refusers. They're selfish, morally repugnant, irresponsible people who are enjoying their freedom because the rest of us are being vaccinated. All these vaccine refusers, their kids are going to school, they're going to hairdressers, they're coming into studios like this. Why? Because the large part of the population are being vaccinated. If we weren't vaccinated, if we didn't all have skin in the game, we'd all be mothballed. So it's all very well rolling your eyes.
But you don't have a choice.
What the hell did you just say?
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected. You know, it's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, you know, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And, you know, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
What kind of shit is that?
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
Hell no!
And so, you know, although there's a lot of work on testing, a lot of work on drugs that we're involved with, you know, trying to achieve that ambitious goal, which has never been done for the vaccine, that rises to the top of the list.
They seem very controversial to some people, but the reality is that we now need forced vaccinations on the unvaccinated population. If not now, at some point over the next year, we are going to have to use force to vaccinate those who would otherwise delay and make impossible the herd immunity that we so desperately need.
I just want to say to all of you cowards out there, don't be such a chicken squat. Get out there and get shot. It goes, vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, 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 vaccine. Because once you're dead, then that's a bit too late.
If you don't get vaccinated, you're antisocial. This is what the Dutch Prime Minister and Health Minister told us. You don't get vaccinated just for yourself, but also for others. You do it for all of society. That's what I said. Today, this turned out to be complete nonsense. In a COVID hearing in the European Parliament, one of the Pfizer directors just admitted to me, at the time of introduction, the vaccine had never been tested on stopping the transmission of the virus. This removes the entire legal basis for the COVID passport. The COVID passport that led to massive institutional discrimination as people lost access to essential parts of society. I find this to be shocking, even criminal. Please watch the video until the end.
Voor u, mevrouw Small, heb ik de volgende vraag waar ik een duidelijk antwoord op wil. And I will speak in English so there are no misunderstandings. Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
This is scandalous. Millions of people worldwide felt forced to get vaccinated because of the myth that you do it for others. Now this turned out to be a cheap lie. This should be exposed. Please share this video.